What's poppin', hip-hop fans? Today, let's explore one of Kanye West's underrated albums that doesn't get talked about enough, The Life of Pablo. Album itself is really all over the place and is a complete mess, where Ye keeps experimenting with the sound and makes some controversial claims. Before we get to the album itself, let's begin with its rollout, how it was released, as its history is actually very interesting. But before we get to that, y'all already know, subscribe to our channel. So, we got the first insights about upcoming Kanye album all the way back in 2013, and during the initial recordings of the album, gave us 3 surprising collaborations with one of the Beatles creators, Paul McCartney, All Day,
and Sweet Breath, and I reached into my earth, gave him what I had left.
Only One,
'Cause every road that leads to heaven's right inside you,
and 4 5 Seconds featuring Rihanna.
I already know that I'm straight from the shaft. All day, all day, all day. All day, all day.
But none of the 3 ended up on the album and were left as singles. And around the same time these tracks were released in 2015, Kanye says that he decided to change the album title from initial So Help Me God to Swish. And we also got some pictures of the studio notepad for the project. And we can already see some of the tracks that were included in the final version of the project, and notably the Kendrick Lamar collab, No More Parties in LA.
from your spray tan.
It was more than soft porn for the gay man. She remembered my sprint and said I was in the grave.
Was recorded back in 2010, and this notepad was changing throughout the working process, and nobody entering the studio could contribute to the notepad. On December 31st, 2015, Kanye drops the first track that made it to The Life of Pablo, Facts.
Yeezy, they line up for days. Nike, I hit bad, they can't get shit away.
However, the version included in the album was a bit different and was titled Facts, Charlie Heat version. A week later, another track from the project sees the light of day, Real Friends.
Maybe 15 minutes, took some pictures with your sister. Merry Christmas, then I'm finished, then it's...
And on January 2016, we get a long-awaited feature with Kung Fu Kenny, aka Kendrick Lamar. On January 8th, after sharing The Real Friends, Kanye announces on his Twitter that the album is coming. 20 days later, we hear from Kanye again, and he says the album is no longer called Swish, but Waves.
I'm still gonna be here in the morning, no lie.
Apart from the album title, we can see the changes made to the track list, and we also get to see some interesting names on the sheet, like Swizz Beatz, Mike Dean, Earl, most notably Earl Sweatshirt. However, we didn't get to hear him on the album, and Chance the Rapper, who made a huge contribution to the album, helping to write 5 tracks. Here's how the album notepad looked finally, and it features even more big names. You can pause and look through them. I mean, would you be surprised if I said that the album release was postponed? On the initial release date, Yeezus shares a photo of the updated and final track list of Waves. Oh yeah, the title was also changed, now to The Life of Pablo. On the same day, album actually was presented to the audience on the Yeezy Season 3 event at the Madison Square Garden, where Ye presented his new clothing collection and also held a listening party.
Fuck all that, let's get to it. What does she say? She suck on a dick on the plane and I just call her.
However, the listening party featured more songs than presented on the track list, and on the next day, we finally get the final track list of the album and said that it was coming out the same day. As always, Kanye couldn't care less about the release date, and eventually, The Life of Pablo sees the light of day on February 14th, 2016. Well, not everything was still smooth and fine. Rappers decided to make the album one platform inclusive, which was Tidal, and let's be honest, who the hell uses Tidal? I mean, you are Mr. Kanye West himself, and you couldn't negotiate with Apple or Spotify about exclusive deal? The answer is one person, Sean Carter, mostly known as Jay-Z, Kanye's mentor, friend, and also owner of Tidal. Would that stop people from listening to the album? Well, days after the album release, Tidal was enjoying the top of the App Store, and Kanye stated that TLOP will never be released on Apple Music specifically. Surprisingly, a month later, the infamous track, Famous,
Just wanted you to know.
gets released on all the streaming platforms, including Apple Music. And moreover, on April 1st, all Spotify and Apple Music users could also put their hands on the album. So, the album released on February 14th was actually not the final version of it, as Kanye pulled a genius move and decided to keep making changes to the tracks, and even track list, as after accidentally leaking the track St. Pablo on Apple Music on March 31st and removing it hours later, it was officially added to the album on June 14th, 2016. Artists called the album a living, breathing, changing creative expression, and it indeed was breathing and living because songs were changing all the way until June, when he was finally satisfied with the project. Alright, let's get to the tracks themselves and see if they are any good. Yes, they are. So we have Ultralight Beam as an opener, which is just a gorgeous gospel track touching the God topic and is all about Kanye's faith. Track also features 4 guest appearances from Chance the Rapper, The Dream, Kirk Franklin, and Kelly Price. Track also got its remix by Sunday Service Choir, which, in my opinion, makes the message of the track even stronger. By the way, album has a huge list of features, ranging from Young Thug to Frank Ocean. Next track we have is Father Stretch My Hands Part 1, and you most definitely heard this song and especially this moment right here. I mean, track itself is iconic, and everybody's heard it, and I feel like this was the moment when Metro Boomin's producer tag became iconic. Track is good, but I mean, Kanye kinda ruined it. Like, you have such a nice build-up at the beginning, hard-ass beat drop afterwards, and then we get a verse from Kid Cudi, and Ye starts talking about bleaching the asshole? Yeah. Track after that is Part 2. Makes sense. Track has one of the most unexpected verses on the album, verse by Designer, that Panda guy, if you forgot. And this Part 2 song is just a Panda remix with a Kanye verse, but it's still hitting. Alright, track number 4 is Famous. Yeah.
My Southside niggas that know me best. I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex.
I don't think I really need to explain the whole relationship of Ye and Taylor Swift after the 2009 incident between the two. And if I'm being honest, Kanye is actually an asshole on this track because he actually called Taylor to ask her permission to put the song out with this line, and she was perfectly fine with it. So what's wrong, you want to ask? Well, look.
Side niggas that know me best. I feel like Taylor Swift might owe me sex.
That's right. He didn't tell her about the rest of the line where he says that he made her famous. But if we're talking about the song itself, it's fire. Rihanna delivers really well on it, and I especially love her vocals. Track explores what it is to be a celebrity. There is also a music video, but we can't show it here as it depicts Kanye, Taylor, Kim Kardashian, Ray J, Donald Trump, and many more celebrities, 12 in total, completely naked, lying in one bed. After Famous, we have Feedback with a really interesting beat with a sound I can't even name properly, and it somehow reminds me of Yeezus sound. Track Highlights features Young Thug and The Dream, and it's a cool track with a cheerful vibe. We also have some interesting lines from Ye.
Invited, you your friends in my dick. Sometimes I wishing that my dick had.
And there is also a line where he talks about that he could be friends with Ray J because they love the same girl, even though Ray leaked a sex tape with Kanye's wife. After that, we have Freestyle 4, probably the most underappreciated cut from the project till this day, because I literally get shivers every time I hear that creepy beat and Kanye rapping crazy on the second half. We also get another appearance from Designer that for some reason sounds like Future, but still, Designer's verse is cool too and does its job, and track ends with the same trippy energy. Afterwards, we get the most Kanye song ever with the title I Love Kanye. Yeah, that's as Kanye as it gets. Even though the track can be perceived as a fun skit, not even a minute long, where Kanye talks about loving his different stages of life. But actually, Kanye is just laughing and making fun of the fans that always talk that old Kanye was better and the new Kanye is just out of his mind. With this track, we get to the second half of the album that is just filled with bangers, and without exaggeration, every track after another slaps. 10th track is Waves, featuring Chris Brown and signature Kid Cudi humming. And I just want to say that Chris just killed that. He really delivered some heavenly vocals on top of this crazy beat. track is really loud and keeps you hyped, and it's just a straight-up banger. Simple as that. Next up, we actually have a series of 3 deep songs, FML, Real Friends, and Wolves. Let's go one by one. FML, which is an acronym for Fuck My Life.
Need to let you know, you ain't ever seen nothing crazy then. This nigga when he off his Lexapro. Remember that last time in Mexico?
But on this track specifically, it stands for My Lady. And it also features The Weeknd. Song explores difficulties in a relationship, and The Weeknd talks about even though everybody wants him to mess up his own life, he's the only one who can do it himself. Track is generally quite good as both artists deliver really well, with good lyrics, and we have just a gorgeous outro featuring Section 25, some really beautiful guitar and drums, just a perfect ending for the track. Then we have Real Friends, and as the title suggests, the main topic of it is friends and the way everybody's attitude towards him changed once he got popular. And he actually put the blame for it on himself, as throughout the whole song he repeats, "I guess I get what I deserve, don't I?" Because with his new lifestyle, being at the top of the industry affects his relationship, not only with his friends, but also his family. He recalls situations when some old friends be constantly asking him for money, and probably one of the wildest stories I've heard when his cousin stole his laptop where Kanye kept some sex tapes and he had to pay his own cousin $250,000 to get the laptop back. Again, a really strong track. Ty Dolla $ign is also on the track, delivering nice vocals, and I especially like the lyrics on this track.
My ego when you walked away. Gave me your heart.
Next, we have Wolves, that initially was supposed to have 3 features, Sia, Frank Ocean, and Vic Mensa. However, Ye decided to only keep Frank on the track, but on March 2016, he updates the album and adds 2 initial features to the track and removes Frank's verse, just making a separate track for it, called Frank's Track.
And I need you now. Lost it. Find out. I'm sorry.
Wolves itself is a really moody, dark, and kinda has this floating atmosphere. Kanye also shares a heartbreaking story about that if you leave your fridge open, somebody will definitely take your sandwich because people tend to perceive one's kindness as a weakness and take advantage of those people. So, next track is, as I said, Frank's Track, a really short one, 38 seconds, and oh god, this guy is just special. He can really make you levitate and cry with his voice in 30 seconds. Track 16 is called 30 Hours.
We could laugh about nothing, I impregnate your mind, let's have a baby.
30 hours is how long it will take you to drive from Chicago to Los Angeles, and Kanye talks about one of his past relationships, as in the 2000s he moved to LA and had to travel back to Chicago to visit his girl. And track also features one of the funniest Kanye lines.
Gave me the best years of her life. I saw a recent picture of her, I guess she was right. I remember being nervous to do Victoria's Secret till I pictured everybody with their clothes off. They say he...
And generally speaking, track is really low-key and chill, with some sample and words, 30 hours, being repeated for the whole song. Next track is Collab of the Century. Kanye and Kendrick finally get on the track together, and Kanye even said that they two have like 40 songs together, and we only got to hear No More Parties in LA.
The head's still good, dog. Make me say, line me on. Ain't yo, make a nigga say big.
I'm not complaining. That's an easy banger and hits really hard. Both are rapping their asses off with crazy bars. The beat is fire. I mean, we have Kanye, Kendrick, and Madlib on one track. It just couldn't be mid. Next, Facts.
On the field, I'm over reckless on my Odell Beckham.
Is another banger with a trap sound, and the track itself is a Nike. After that, we have Fade. That features verses by Post Malone and Ty Dolla $ign. And it has a really interesting sound as it's made of 4 different samples, but all the artists on the cut do a great job and track feels really vibey and catchy. And on to the album finish line, St. Pablo.
400 years later, we buying our own chains. The light is before us, brothers, so the devil working hard. Real family.
And right off the bat, I can say that not only it's the best track on the album, but arguably one of the best Kanye songs ever. Track is quite long, at 6 minutes, and Kanye keeps the same raw energy throughout the track. He touches a lot of different topics, slavery, his own debt, and in general talks about his problems and things he's insecure about. Some really deep lines we have on the track. It makes you just want to listen to every word. Focus on one point in the emptiness and just digest. You also have Sampha featured on the cut, and his hook and verse make the song so much better with those lyrics and just angelic vocals. Beautiful song, a perfect ending for the album. So that's pretty much it with this album. I feel like TLOP deserves to be talked way more than it does, as although the sound is quite experimental and sometimes sounds too messy and incoherent, in my opinion, Yeezy really hits the spot with every single track on the project. Every track carries its own energy, and a zero skips album right here for me. Share your thoughts on the project in the comments section and whether you liked it or not, and what is your favorite from it. Hope you found this review interesting and helpful, and as always, like and subscribe. See y'all next time.